up, brother? How you doing? I'm working on my van right now. I'm working on my shelves. As you can see, this one is taken out, and I can show you. So got this shelf here. It's gonna go there. Let me get some light on it, brother. So this shelf here, I cut it out so I could fit my battery in there. I can put it, slide it right in there. Got a little hole in the back. You can see right there. The cables are going to come through. That's the second shelf right there in the corner. I got some glue drying on it right now, but yeah, man, just cutting some foam right now because it's made out of metal, so got some sharp edges, and rather than sanding, or not sanding, but grinding or filing, I'm just gonna put some foam over it. So I picked up some foam from Home Depot, picked up a nice foam pad, and then yeah, I mean, just gonna cover it and then glue it. Yes, sir. Hope you're having a good night, wherever you are. Sorry, I was muted. I was playing some music. It's copyrighted, you know. We'll stay unmuted and keep streaming. How about that? This one's charging. 65 iPad. This one's fully charged. Plug. Let's get this, but honestly, I can throw these back in.
Nice car. You're there in support, actually, of the president. In support of the president.
Right.
And it's meant to be like you're roasting the president. Like Trump's just there, and he's like actually, he's like there as part of the support. And then they turned it around and just started roasting Trump, and he's just sitting there he's like, yo, I just came to the dinner. I wasn't. I'm just here to support.
You know what it was because of, right? The birther stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's what it all was. It was all, Trump was at the head of a lot of these people spreading this rumor online that Obama's birth certificate was forged, that he's actually from Kenya. What's weird is, if you go back to Obama's early days, there are some things that say he's from Kenya. Like, I think in his something from college said he was from Kenya. But that could just be, people prep things wrong all the time. It doesn't mean he's actually from Kenya. But Trump was one of those guys who was like spreading that supposedly false rumor.
Was he pushing it hard? I'm not.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing where I want to just go and look and say, what did he actually say?
No, he definitely was. He was definitely saying, look, I don't think he has the time to go into things like very deeply. And so I think he could probably be influenced by a bunch of people, like these Marjorie Taylor Greene type people who come to him with some wild ass theory.
Sure.
He might be, and I think there's a lot of that stuff that gets fed to people on purpose so that they'll say incorrect things so that they're easy to dismiss.
Sure.
And I think there's also a lot of people who just make shit up. And, they tell you the earth is flat, and a bunch of people watch a YouTube video and they believe it.
Yeah, well, but on that White House correspondence, I was there, and the degree to which they attacked Trump in that White House correspondence center was really it was so over the top. It was like making everyone uncomfortable.
Really?
It was really over the top. You know, I mean, I think like sort of a passing joke, like you know, a few passing jokes are fine, but they twisted the knife big on Trump and doing that, and you can see Trump just getting like angrier and angrier and more upset.
I wonder if that's
and
because...
it's like, man, this is not good karma. You know? That's what I was thinking at the time. I'm looking at two tables away from Trump, and I'm looking at like, yeah, this is too much. You know?
Well, it's kind of crazy what they've made out of that, because that's the kind of guy that if you tell him he can't do something, he's gonna just keep trying. Like, what?
It was a big mistake to rag on him so much at that point.
Just look at the way they've attacked him with just using the legal system, like this thing in New York where the 34 different felony counts were essentially misdemeanors. They're bookkeeping errors that they decided, even though it passed the statute of limitations, they started to try him for these. They didn't identify a felony.
Abuse of the law is what's going on.
But most people would have quit.
Yeah.
Most people, up to the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit, this lawsuit, all the other ones that they're the insurrection thing, the Georgia thing, all these different things, they getting kicked off of Twitter. Most people would have just like, this is too much, I can't take this. And he's so fucking crazy. He's like, all right, come on, we're going to war. And he just digs his fucking heels in and keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the wrong guy to do that to. Just like attacking him at the White House Correspondents' Center, most people would have been humiliated. He got angry. He's like, yeah, all right, say I can't be president? I've been thinking about running for about 15 fucking years. Finally, I'm going to run. Yeah.
That was a real bad move. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly understand, like, making some jokes about, like, you know, a few sort of passing jokes on Trump, but man, I was there at that dinner, and that they ragged on Trump so much, it was insane.
The reason why I would push back on that, because I would say there's a bunch of different speakers, right? And Trump would obviously be a target, and if they all attacked him, it's because he's like, if you're going to make fun of people in the audience, and especially in the zeitgeist, that whole birther thing was big, and most people were dismissing it as being a ridiculous conspiracy theory. It's like, who the fuck is this guy saying this?
Sure.
And so you have 8 to 10 individual speakers that are writing monologues. Of course, they're all going to hit Trump.
Yeah, well, anyway, obviously it was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. But I invite people to watch that original source material. I think a few jokes are fine. It's like, but it's like he shouldn't be it felt like he was the primary object of the roast.
Yeah.
Which is that's not the whole point of the thing is to roast the president, not roast the audience.
The thing about it is like he's easy to roast. Yeah. And then on top of that, Obama was like loved and cherished by the left. Yeah. And most of those people are on the left. There's only so far you can push. You know, you can't ask about a chef. It's like, what happened with the chef, bro? You can't, it's like certain things you can't bring up.
What's your favorite sport? Paddleboarding?
Yeah. Wasn't that guy a really good swimmer?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
You can't bring that up. Like, if you're going to roast Hillary, you can't bring up the death count.
Like, Hillary, what's the best way to stay in touch? Email.
Yeah. If you're doing one of those
she destroyed the servers and poured like bleach on the servers, like computers.
She poured bleach on?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what it was.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't just like they took a hammer to it; they like destroyed. Like there was no possible way to actually get forensics on the thing.
What was it?
That's what I mean.
What was in there? What was in there?
Why would they care so much?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
And there was no legal action against that, which is their destruction of evidence.
Well, it's also, there's this other narrative that always drives me crazy, is that he's going to destroy democracy. So in order to destroy democracy, we have to install a president without a primary. We have to have a candidate that is the least liked vice president of all time, the least popular vice president of all time, and then use gaslighting and the full force of the media machine to turn her into the future. And hope. Right. And then she's gonna be changed, even though she's the sitting vice president. And then on top of that, this idea of change when the Democrats have been in control for 12 of 16 years?
Right.
Which is crazy. Like, this is the change.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I view this election as a turning point, like a quote from the Road to Destiny, that is incredibly important. I've not been politically active until this election. In the reason I've been politically active in this election is because I think if we don't elect Trump, I think we will lose. We will lose democracy in this country. We will lose the two-party system. And let me explain why. So there's only like six or seven swing states. The margin of victory in those states is small, often like 10 or 20,000 votes. What the Democrat administration has been doing is importing vast numbers of illegals into swing states. If you look at the numbers on the actual government website, you don't take my word for it. You can just look at the numbers as reported by the government, which is controlled by the Democrats. And what we're seeing is triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in every swing state. In some cases, 700% increases. These are gigantic numbers. So if you have a state that has a 10 or 20,000 vote margin, and you put 200,000 illegals in that state, you 10x you swamp the. It's not a swing state anymore. It's going to vote blue. And then once the swing states vote blue, there is no election anymore. There's only a Democrat primary.
Which is so crazy. And it's so crazy that people are fine with that.
Well, I guess people on the left will be fine with that because they think that's a good idea.
They just want to win. They just want to win.
Correct. Like the things, like one does not need actually any kind of conspiracy theory for this. You just have to look at the single round of incentives. Like if the Democrat Party wants to win, like basically achieve permanent victory, all they need to do is turn the swing states. Turn the swing states blue, they're permanent victory. And then we're a one-party state, and then they will keep doing that. Obviously, they will keep stacking the deck by bringing in vast numbers of illegals into the swing states. Keep stacking it so that the next election, each successive election, will be worse than the last one. And that's what's happening. And if you want to say like, well, this is actually happening, look at California. California is supermajority now, 70% now. A month ago, they passed a law making it illegal to show ID in any election in California. So a friend of mine went to vote in Palo Alto. So he was like, "Is this for real?" He tried to show his ID, and they reacted like if you show a cross to a vampire. They're like, "No, we can't even look at that ID." It is illegal for them to even look at your ID if you want to present it in California.
Why?
For any election at all, even like city council.
What logical reason other than to cheat would you ever have that law?
The reason is to cheat.
But the only like you can never make an argument any other way. And I think 84% of people polled believe that you should show ID to vote. So it's against the will of the people.
Yes. And we're extremely rare. We're an outlier in not requiring ID. Basically, almost every country on earth requires ID. So as soon as you ban ID for voting, it makes fraud impossible to prove. Because how do you trace the fraud? Right.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And what I'm saying is that
how is it legal?
What I'm saying is that this election is the last chance to preserve democracy in America. Mark my words. Everything they accuse Trump of, they are guilty. And if Trump doesn't win, this will be the last real election in America. And we will, if the big government Kamala puppet machine wins, they will legalize the illegals in swing states. There will be no swing states. Every election going forward will be guaranteed Democrat win. And it'll actually be worse than California. The reason it'll be worse than California is because the one thing that keeps California from being super crazy is that you move out of California, like you and I did. You and I used to be in California. We moved to Texas. We're still in America. But if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That's awesome.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
And I
to push
just want to
back?
go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Is there any argument against this? Has anybody tried to debate this? Has anybody tried to say that this is nonsense? This is a conspiracy? Has anybody made any sort of a rational argument
the left actually, interestingly, does not want to pick up much on this argument because the more attention, the more you look at it, the more obviously it's true. Because you just say like, well, are the numbers correct? Are there really this many illegals that have been imported into swing states? Yes. They haven't just imported across the border. They've been flown in airplanes.
Yeah. Using a shipping app.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made an app.
Well, the app always existed, but it used to be for people coming over here, like shipping with goods, so they could track you while you're in America, so you can legally be here, they know where you are. And then they changed it to allow that app to schedule illegal aliens to come across the border.
Yes.
Asylum seekers. Come on in.
Yes.
Well, you have an app. And you
so
fly people in.
They're literally being flown in
Yeah.
to the swing states. And so the reason that I think left doesn't want to push back on this is because the more attention they get that this gets, the more people realize it is true.
Yeah, it is true.
That's why they don't. That's why they're just pretending. They're pretending I'm not saying anything. But I'm like you know, they're literally flying past numbers of illegals. Well, then beholden to Democrats. And sometimes you get the rebuttal of people say like, well, you know, these illegals are they don't have the same social values as the Democrat Party. They're like more socially conservative. Like, yeah, but that's not the point. That if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that their primary thing is staying in the country and getting their friends and family in, and then the Democrats give them all these benefits, like tons of benefits, more benefits than than citizens, literally.
Yeah.
So they're beholden to the Democrats for all these benefits. They want to get their friends and family in, which the Democrats support and Republicans don't. So they vote down. And you can look empirically at California and say, like, did they vote Republican or Democrat in California? They voted Democrat.
Well, Reagan gave them amnesty in the 1980s, and that changed the state basically, except for Arnold, changed the state entirely blue.
Yes.
And Arnold was an exception because he was like a socially liberal, famous guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, didn't really impose any radical restrictions on any of the people that were going to vote Democrat in the first place. The whole thing is just, it's bizarre to watch play out because it just seems like this can't be actually what's happening. Did you see my conversation with Fetterman about it?
Yeah.
He was completely in denial about it. I don't think there's that level of organization. Like, what are you talking about?
There's exactly just like because you can break it down to like, are any of these numbers wrong? Because we got these numbers from Homeland Security Government.gov. Okay.
Right.
So we got it from the .gov website. Has the government reported these numbers incorrectly? No, they have not. Those numbers, if anything, are low. So they have in fact flown vast numbers of illegals to swing states.
Yeah.
Bypassing the border entirely. And so that is factually true. They say like, well, what is their problem voting pattern? Overwhelmingly Democrat into swing states. And then, well, do the Democrats actually want to fast track them for citizenship? Yes, they do. Because you can see Chuck Schumer on TV saying at a rally this year saying he wants to fast track and make all 11 million or however many of those citizens as soon as possible. So the goal is that if they are fast tracking citizenship as quickly as possible, so that whether one thinks it's shady or not, it won't matter because they will be able to.
And for people on the left,
this is actually happening. I
Yeah.
invite people to rebut this and show me where I'm wrong. Please do so.
no, they can't.
They can't
They can't.
because it's true.
Well, what's scary to me is that there's people that are on the left, like people that were Bernie Sanders supporters, for example.
Yeah,
Like
got
I was.
screwed with talk about undermining democracy. Bernie should have won the nomination.
Exactly.
And they stole it from him and gave it to Hillary.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. Like they control the primary process.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you have a Democratic primary, it's not democratic. We just saw that. We saw it with Bernie. We saw it with Kamala. Like a week before Biden, was summarily fired. He was posting that he's in it for the long term. He's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not giving up. next thing you know, it's Sunday afternoon, they're posting on X that he's resigned from the race.
Which is,
and his staff didn't even know. Like, they're reading it on the X platform okay, that's how they learned about it.
what do you think happened there? How did they do that? Because
he's clearly just not in charge. Obviously.
They could have used the 25th Amendment, right?
Fake president.
But they would have had to admit that there was a certain period of time where they knew that he was mentally compromised.
Yes.
And so they made this decision to not do that.
Well, the weird thing is that the president's supposed to be the boss.
Right.
And yet he's obviously not the boss.
Right, so who's running the country? If she's busy campaigning, she's so busy she can't do anything except Saturday Night Live. She did that. She's so busy. She's constantly campaigning. How could you be paying attention to international relations?
Yeah.
How could you be paying attention to the economy? How could you be paying attention to any of those things? How do you have the time? You can't.
Yeah, I mean, if Biden being the president's supposed to be the CEO, the chief guy, he has commander chief, but it just obviously that Biden was not. He was just a puppet. And when the various puppet masters decided that puppet it was no longer useful, they just tossed out the puppet and they got a new puppet. I mean, Kamala can't even talk. You invited her on the show. I think the most damage that could possibly be done to a campaign is going to a show and seeing what she says in hours 2 and 3.
2 and 3 is when things get
2
spicy.
and 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god.
You can hide for 20 minutes. You can hide for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just regurgitate talking points for half an hour, maybe an hour, just where she's just saying like non sequiturs, but eventually she just runs out of non sequiturs.
Well, they wanted to limit it to an hour.
Exactly. That's why.
But I was thinking of doing it initially before Trump came here. First of all, when they found out that there was a rumor, I never announced that Trump was coming. What I was going to do is just release it. The way I like to do things, I don't like to tell anybody who's coming on. It'll get big no matter what. If Trump was on, it would have been huge. I'm going to just put it out there. People will go crazy.
Yeah.
But he apparently, or someone from his organization, some loose lips, and then it got out. And so she contacted my management company, and her organization, her campaign contacted us and said, "Would Joe have her on?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "She wants you to fly to where she is, and she's only willing to do 45 minutes."
Only 45 minutes, that's bullshit.
And I was like, "Oh, no." So I thought about doing it. I'm like, maybe I can get a sense. Maybe I can convince her. Maybe I can coax her into doing more time. I just wanted to talk to her.
Yeah.
Well, I don't give a fuck what we talk about. We talk about recipes. I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Just talk to me.
The things that you just can't, like, you can't just output bullshit non sequiturs for 3 hours.
Right.
So for 45 minutes you can do.
I thought maybe for 45 minutes I could get something out of it. But then when Trump came and did the 3 hours, I was like, you know what? It has to be like this. This is the only way.
It's going to be like 3
And
hours.
it should be in this room.
Yes.
Because this room is like a history of people expressing themselves.
Actually.
Yeah, it's good vibes. Yeah. Well,
That's true, actually.
I subscribe to the idea that places have memory.
Yeah.
I think there's something real to that. That's
It
why
it does feel that way, actually.
Yeah. I'm sure if you go to Diddy's house, it probably feels really
my-
weird. It probably feels weird walking around that house, probably like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
I've been through some memories in that house. You know?
Sounds rough.
Well, it's just amazing how many people in the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala.
Yeah, seriously. It's like insane.
Publicly, openly, like
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah. It's like Halo. It's like his ex-girlfriend. And it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm
Is he
like,
the
well, wait a
Babylon
second.
Bee?
So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay. Well, maybe we should trust her opinion.
Did you see the Babylon Bees take on it? Did you see the Babylon Bee
Babylon
fight?
Bee's awesome.
Oh my god, they're so on fire. Because the left can't say anything.
Well,
The Onion has been crippled.
well, the problem is that like the
Find that post.
the woke ideology makes like humor illegal.
Yes.
So when like there's so many humor no-fly zones,
Right.
you can't make fun of anything.
Yeah. Babylon Bee had a thing about Kamala Harris. Diddy's ex-girlfriend urges Americans to trust her judgment. Yeah. By the way, you get to see how bad an actress she is too. That speech was terrible.
Like if she's going to be warning people, why does she never warn anyone about Diddy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so strange to watch play out. It seems like the Diddy thing was like an Epstein-type compromise deal, where he had, whether he was doing it himself. Conceivably, people want to think that he's attached to some intelligence agency or something like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help, I don't know. Whether or not he shared some of that information with people so they knew they had compromising stuff on people, I don't know. But clearly he was doing it for his own jollies too. There was something sick about it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that people in the music industry, entertainment industry, had to know that Eddie was like abusing, kids basically. And yet they still fed him kids. And like, where's the account?
There had to be rumors. There had to be.
They had to know.
Yeah.
They had to know.
Cat Williams was talking about it on
Exactly.
on that podcast.
But like it's like who's feeding the kids?
Right. Yeah. And what videos do they have of these people where they're willing to defend him? Where they're willing to keep quiet about all this? Like how many people were compromised?
Yeah.
The whole thing is fucking crazy. It's just crazy when because the nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood. And you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all these, you're like, what the fuck? How much of this is real?
It's a lot more real than I think people realize.
Yeah.
I mean, the part of it is like you say, like where, if someone's like a pedophile, they're gonna go for a targeted environment.
Right.
Obviously.
Like that Jimmy Savile guy from the UK.
That guy was some exception. That was bad stuff. And the BBC tried to hide that one. That guy was one of the worst, like basically child rapists
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. And looked like one.
He looked like one.
That's
like,
what's
honestly,
crazy.
if you had a poster of like,
Yeah.
does this guy look like
The creepiest
like
fucking
an
looking guy
evil child rapist? That 100%.
made it to the grave. Like,
Yes.
Nick got away with it. Got away with it until he died. They hid it from people until he died.
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff's real, and no one wants to believe that stuff's real. Like, here's a statistic that people need to take into consideration when you think about illegal immigration. Do you know how many kids are missing? How many
It's like missing him.
kids that came across the border that are
I
unaccounted for?
mean, I saw a number on like 300,000.
Something crazy like that. Let's say it's only 10% of that. That's still insane. That's insane. There's thousands and tens of thousands of kids that have been trafficked potentially. I mean, when you know that like sex trafficking and child trafficking is a real thing in the world, it's real. So if you know that, this whole thing is fucking disgusting and terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are just turning a blind eye to it because their ideology, the left-wing ideology, supports this idea that immigration is overall good and that you have to be a compassionate person to let these people in, and that you're racist if you don't want 20,000 immigrants from a war-torn country being imported into a town of 30,000 people. It completely changes the dynamic of it. And then,
but as long as they don't come to your town,
exactly,
like that's it.
Exactly.
They just basically said, when they said like whatever, like 20 or 30 people come out, this bitch is too late on heart attack.
they kicked him out.
Yeah, they kicked them out.
Yeah, they kicked him out.
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah, sure.
It's
Anyone who wants to have vast numbers of illegals, they have to be prepared to have in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or it's bullshit.
It's so crazy. And the thing about all of this is if you don't have people that are willing to stand up and talk about it, if you don't exist, if RFK doesn't exist, if Tulsi Gabbard doesn't exist, if Vivek and Trump don't exist, where the fuck are we? Like, where are we? Where are we and what gets done? Are we just like the UK where we have thousands of people getting arrested and jailed for social media posts? Like, where are we? We have complete silencing of any dissent, anything. You have to stick to the narrative or you'll lose your livelihood, you'll be outcast from the community, you'll lose your freedom. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, if the Kamala regime wins, they're definitely going to kill somebody. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
What about you? You're gonna come for you first.
I'm like, I think I'm probably number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
After Trump.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, that's the last thing they want is someone with unlimited resources and intelligence attacking it. So people go, wait, that guy saying that?
Yeah.
You know, especially a guy like you who's always been on the left, who's like, having a Tesla in Los Angeles when I got my first Tesla was like a signal to everybody else that you were on the right team.
Sure.
You're environmentally conscious, you believe in green energy, you believe in this this amazing thing that has zero emissions and it's super fast, and
Yeah.
everybody was in. They were all in.
Well, it is a great car objectively. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's not buying because it's electric. It's just a great car objectively.
I'm on my third one.
Yeah.
My third one is being built right now by Unplugged Performance. They're doing a carbon fiber wide body kit on it. Dude, it's sick.
Right.
Changing the suspension, putting wide wheels and tires on it,
Right.
custom interior. Fucking boom.
That's great.
I'm pumped. I love
It's
those
a
things.
super fun car.
Jamie has one too.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. It makes other cars feel stupid. Like its ability, and the fact that you can merge on the highway, you don't seem like a douchebag because it's totally silent.
Yeah.
It's not like when you merge on the highway, it's just
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're going 100 miles an hour. Like what?
Yes.
It's different than any other vehicle, and because of your company, now you see electric cars throughout the whole range of American cars.
Yeah.
The only person who's resisted, the only company is Toyota. They've stayed essentially mostly hybrid. But all these other companies, they're all putting out these electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that the right architecture, environmental or not, for cars is actually it's just like the acceleration's better. You can just charge it at home. I mean, like imagine if you had a gasoline run cell phone.
Right.
You know?
That'd be so. Go to the gas
Go to
station.
the gas station.
Charge
pull up
up
your
your cell phone. That's great. Speaking of cell phones,
gas stations are awful. Like who wants to go to the gas station?
how much thought have you? Because there's always these rumors, and I've contacted you about this before, but there's always these fucking YouTube videos where they're talking about a Tesla phone, releasing a Tesla phone.
No, we're not doing it.
Have you ever thought about it?
We could do a phone. It's like we like the operating system on Tesla. It's like it's Linux based, but we're pretty massive amount of software on top of that. So, like probably Tesla's in a better position to create a new phone that's on Android or iPhone than maybe anything in the world. But it's not something we want to do unless we have to. Actually.
What would be the situation where you would have to?
Well, I think if Apple and Google / Android start doing really bad things like I don't know, like censorship of apps or I don't know, just treating people like just being like gatekeepers, in a really bad way. I guess.
You know, I've tried so many times to break loose the Apple ecosystem. I got an Android phone this summer. I was like, that's it. Because I love the Samsung phones,
Yeah.
the Galaxy phone.
The hardware is
They're incredible.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff to it, but it's so hard to get off of the iMessage. And the big one for me was FaceTime, because supposedly the thing was you could have an Apple phone and send a link to FaceTime to an Android phone, and then you would click on that link and you would just go to a web page and you'd be able to use FaceTime. It doesn't work. I tried to do it to myself. So I had an iPhone in one hand, an Android phone in the other, and I'm sitting there with full Wi-Fi, full cell phone service, and I'm sending myself invitations for
So you just can't
FaceTime.
communicate.
It wasn't
you can't do a
working.
video call basically.
You have to use WhatsApp. You have to use WhatsApp or Signal. You have to use something else that allows you to do that, or Instagram allows you to do it. There's like different ways you can make video calls outside of it, but it's inconvenient. Like with an iPhone to iPhone, it's so simple. AirDrop, so simple. So many different things where that walled garden that Apple's created is perfect. They've done a fantastic job of making it really convenient for you to stay with Apple. I fucking tried. I gave it a go for like a couple of months. I'm just gonna go straight Android. I'm gonna use Signal for my messages, and then I hear that like Signals might be compromised. Like I've talked to like people that like the government can read Signal messages. Like, oh,
The government controls how to
they can read anything. All they need to do is have your phone number. Yeah, the illusion of privacy is essentially out the window, and that should scare people more than it does. It really should, because it's like, who are these people that have access to all this stuff, and are they beyond reproach? Are these the most wonderful people, the most ethical, moral, and principled people that have ever existed, and they've been chosen to have access? No, it's fucking regular people. Regular people who happen to work for the government that make a decision, like Elon Musk. Let's look see what the fuck that guy's texting his friends. Let's check it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bizarre. Just so bizarre. And the alternatives are you can get some wacky phone, some de-Googled phone that fucking none of the apps work. It's real sketchy. Your GPS is fucked.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think there's making fun would be a huge pain, yeah. So it can't be done. But
How much talk have you guys had internally about doing it? Has it ever been discussed? No.
no, I mean, we're still our focus is making great electric cars, solving autonomy, so classic driver cells. We're building humanoid robots. We've got some large battery packs, like utility scale battery packs, long battery packs with power and solar. You know, it's like we're basically trying to solve sustainable energy and autonomy.
So you,
Autonomy and robotics.
well, I think that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. So of the plate's full.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's always fascinating to me how one company can dominate a market. You know, like Apple's dominated the cell phone market largely by making the best product.
Yeah.
But also like YouTube has dominated the video market. That one's the most bizarre to me. Because it seems like, boy, shouldn't there be like a ton of options? It seems like it's not that difficult to pull off. But nothing ever took hold other than X.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big changes was when Tucker Carlson decided to do his show from X,
Right.
straight out of Fox. And then people realized, like, oh, you can watch full videos on X the same exact way you could watch them on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not as simple in terms of, like, you know, you have the
It'll get better.
suggestions and the algorithm.
Yeah, it'll get better. And there is now, it is now possible to watch X videos on your big TV.
Do you do it through what? How do you do it?
You can actually just download the X app on your TV.
Oh.
And watch it on your TV.
Can you do it on Apple TV? Like if you have an Apple
I think
TV,
so.
you get the X app and you just watch it.
So we'll make it so that you can watch X videos on big TV. It doesn't have to be on your phone or iPad or something.
So what are you doing in terms of like integrating Grok and X and like what are your plans for artificial intelligence when you do that?
Yeah, so Grok is available on X. You can just look at like the little box with the slash icon. That's sort of an icon in the middle of the bottom of the going out. You just tap on that and ask Grok anything. And you can type it or you can ask it verbally. And yeah, you can also it's pretty funny. Like we actually laugh, which is pretty cool. So you could sort of.
What do you want to like? How? First of all, like what is it based on? It's a large language model, so like, where does it
It's
go?
trained on everything.
On everything.
Internet, books, anything that could possibly be. It's available.
So it's essentially very similar to ChatGPT, but it doesn't have like the low parameters built into it. Like Google was the worst, right?
Yeah.
The Gemini was the worst.
Yeah, Gemini was like, Google has Gemini. Which one is the most global? Is Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner? Even Caitlyn Jenner weighed in and said, no, that's insane. Definitely nuclear war is way worse.
You see Caitlyn Jenner teasing Mark Cuban about transitioning?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Caitlyn Jenner's based.
Yeah, and that is actually hilarious when someone who has transitioned is teasing Mark Cuban about transitioning.
I mean, it is weird how much coverage that up. I mean, like he's using the same glasses. Did he get Ben Stiller glasses or something?
He's worth a lot of money. Why would he buy those stupid glasses? He gets some
It's
cool
not
ass
flattering.
glasses. Yeah. Well, it's like I'm serious because I don't even care